everybody. This is Carlos. Thanks for joining us. On today's show, we're going to be speaking with Richard Field of All-Star Constrictors. Richard is well known for his insights on the European boa market. Heads up, though, the audio's a little choppy, but it's totally worth it, since the info he gives us is key to understanding the future of the shark complex. We're going to talk about how he got involved in the boa game and his plans for the upcoming season. We're also going to talk about his experience working with the Paradise Project. Finally, we're going to talk about what it's like to import boas from Europe. Boa Rack Radio is on the air now. Welcome everybody to Boa Rack Radio. I'm your host, Carlos Rojas of Morph Unleashed, and with me is my co-host, Sergio Hernandez of Sergio Hernandez Reptiles. What's up, Serge?
Hey guys, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Yeah. So today, our guest is Richard Field of All-Star Exotics. So based out of Michigan, Richard has worked to integrate many pastel lines into the Sharp Complex boa morphs. All right, Richard, welcome to the show, man.
That's how you doing?
Good, brother. So for those that haven't had a chance to know you or maybe are fairly new to the hobby, give a little bit about your background and how you got involved with reptiles.
Started when I was around 4 or 5 years old. I used to watch a lot of wildlife TV shows with my granddad, and from there I kind of found a love for not just reptiles but animals in general, and later on led to me getting gerbils, lizards, frogs, alligators, dogs, cats, and led on, now even still following me to this day. So that kind of got me started though at a young age, watching it on TV.
So when did you pick up your first boa?
I got my first boa when I was 14. Saved up for it, obviously, in Michigan. I got the chance to earn the money with all this snow up here, so shoveled a lot of snow, and ended up going to the local store and buying one.
That's awesome, man. So I know that you're pretty passionate about some stuff outside of reptiles and snakes, and that's your love of basketball, and you made a career of it. So talk a little bit about how you got involved in basketball and eventually how your career ended up kind of developing.
Yeah, I've been playing since I was a young boy. My cousin first introduced me to the game. He used to babysit me, and we used to be on a coat hanger, actually, and a balled up sock. We couldn't go outside, so we'd be putting a hanger and making it into a circle and playing
That's
on the
awesome.
door. Yeah, and I kind of found, love started right there, and then after that, height grew. I'm 6'5", so being taller than everybody advantage at a young age too, playing, and then high school, being a high school standout, ended up going to college and playing junior college for 2 years, and I ended up playing at Division II for 2 years. Junior college was one of the top programs in the nation. I got Division I offers. I ended up turning them down to play with a coach that basically guaranteed me I went to school. I ended up being a pro, and that kind of sold me. That school was in Erie, Pennsylvania. I played there for 2 years, and then after that, I ended up going to Iceland after I got my agent and started my career in Czech Republic and Slovakia.
So what was it like playing in Europe and playing in Iceland?
It was nice. At first, it was a challenge. Language barrier. It's different when you talk to people, and you gotta like sound out exactly what and then watch their mouth. I get accustomed to that. But as far as the landscape in Iceland was nice. It was a lot of mountain where green. I was dealing with 20 hours of darkness during winter time during basketball season. So I remember one time a guy came over to fix our stove, and it was 10:30 or something, and he was knocking on the door. Looked at my team. I said, "Why is he coming over here so early?" Like, I thought it was to 7. Maybe. I was like, "Why is he over here so early?" And he was like, "Rich, it's 10 o'clock." And I'm like, "Oh, And I looked out, and it was still dark. Just dealing with that, and the sunrise would come around noon, and I had to
Right.
go outside and try to catch sun before it set again. Those type of things.
Man, that's a trip,
Um,
especially for like an athlete who, has a schedule that they tend to follow. You know what I'm saying? Especially coming from the States,
yeah,
that'd be a tough thing to deal with in the beginning.
yeah. It was quite crazy. So, I'm seeing just walk to school and in darkness, and, almost going back home in darkness. So I try to make sure that I got out in them 4 hours of the day and at least saw some daylight. I was at the time in a girl there, and food was crazy. I got offered sheep face and tongue. She was like, "Hey, come in. You want this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'll have some. I'm thinking, regular goat,
Right,
but
right, right, right.
it was a like fake and a half with meat and we're eating." And I said, "No, I can't do that. Y'all, I'll leave that. I'll leave that, y'all." So, dealing with those type of things, going to the grocery store, picking up stuff that you think is, like I said, ham meat, and it's not ham. It's something else, like some type of pork and lamb mixed together, and horse or something. In Iceland, they eat horse too.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so just dealing with the language barrier, the food, the culture in general, on trying to figure out what to say, what polite, what's not polite. Learning the few words that can get you by, you know, and I it was because a lot of people spoke English.
Right.
Yeah, most countries speak English. When I moved to Czech and I played in Slovakia, we talking about people who don't speak English and don't want to try to speak English. So unless you were in a big city, you can have some difficulties, maneuvering around those type of areas because they don't even like. I got pulled over one time and a police officer told me, and I know he kind of speaks English, but he didn't want to speak it. So
Yeah,
he
yeah.
told me, he was like, fast, speed, and I like, okay, and he was ticket, and I speak English, and he was like, you speak Czech. I said, I'm American. Hey, how do you want me to speak to you in Czech? I'm American. Like I can't speak Czech. And he was fine, fine. He tried to give me, 5,000 crown is like dollar, I think, in U.S. So I mean, man, whatever. So just get out my, just get away from me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So he's trying to, force me to speak Czech, but there's no way in hell I could have spoke Czech to him. I didn't even. I was there for about 2 months before I got pulled up on speed. And didn't know you have to have a highway ticker to even drive on a highway there. So yeah, those things. Was playing ball over there, and you know, language barriers. Like I said before, different countries have different um cultural things that you have to be aware of, and it was a nice experience though.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And one of the things I think we were talking about offline is the fact that while you were there and you were able to play during your off time, you were able to kind of start meeting a few of the breeders in Europe and kind of learning a little bit about the European reptile scene.
Yeah. I started when first, um actually I went to a local reptile show, and that's what got me on sharps. I was kind of towards ball pythons at the time. I knew that once I started playing, I was going to build my collection, and I started playing when I was 30. So I started towards what morphs I was going to get into. It's been following the scene and kind of watching what's going on, and then when I went to that show, I seen nice sharps. I seen high contrast sharp really got me. Um, that pulled me in, and once that happened, I contacted him. I drove about 2 hours to see his collection, and all he had was pretty much those. And he was one of the originators that imported sharps from Brian Sharp himself.
Right.
Into and he kept line breeding, and I got to see some real nice examples of the more that kind of me going.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So let me ask you, what lessons from basketball have you brought over into the world of reptiles and kind of the way you've handled your business here?
Um, I some guys like to, I would say, chase clout. Since
Yeah,
even
yeah,
in
yeah.
his hobby,
Yeah,
even
word.
in his hobby, I always been, a humble guy. I don't need on the back. I don't need to be, famous off of boas. I'm good in that regard. I try, stay even kill like I do, dealing with other players. And now on the court, I'm different. Like I'm you know, I'm gonna try to
Yeah.
go at you, but the reptile hobby, just being disciplined, staying on your top of your collection. I want to be the best basketball player that I be, so I kind of, in a sense, take pride in having some of the best animals, when it comes to that. So I could say that kind of translated in a in a in a way, but besides that, just being humble and not in a sense
Yeah, no, man, that's
cloud
great.
chasing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. And let me ask you, what made you go from a hobby collection into a breeding collection?
Uh, I always wanted to breed. I bred back in 2003. I had two normals and I had a litter. I knew that eventually when I stopped playing that I would end up becoming a breeder. I always kept animals, even in college. I had animals in my dorm room, in my apartment. The team thought I was crazy. Uh, they would walk in and see a 6 foot snake and um, see an alligator, see a lizard, and on my couch, and he'd I won't put him back in. So he'd just be in there and wasn't that for me. But my teammates would kind of call me crazy or whatever. For me it was normal. I always had a passion for them exotic animals in a sense. So um, I always wanted to become a breeder. I bred tails back in 2003. I had a litter then, and it was always pretty much, in a sense, not a hobby to me. The only reason it was a hobby to me is because I couldn't actually keep animals for very long. With me, bouncing from school to school, for me bouncing from school to overseas to one country to the next country to the next country, it didn't allow me to actually establish a breed like,
Yeah, no, that make
quality,
that.
facility or whatever. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, that basically didn't stop me from being a breeder early in years that I could have been.
yeah, no, I got you, man. Now, who are some of the people that you looked up to when you were kind of getting started within the boa game? I know we talked a little bit offline about that you admired some of the sharp stuff Jeff Ronnie had been doing. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, he, I've been following Jeff for a long time, even when he the website and had the green moss as I think his background or something like that when he had the Peruvians and
Oh
those
yeah, oh
type of
yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You know,
So
he was doing the locality stuff heavy. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember
the
that.
locality. Yeah, so I always kept my eye on him. He so, with the sharps, and I kept following him. Kyle Frost, I believe, has some sharps. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I believe he has some nice sharps. But Jeff, has some nice animals. Me and Jeff, I see him. We catch up, talk. I spoke with him multiple times over the phone. Talked about the project, and spoke a couple years ago at Tinley, and I told him how I wanted to try to incorporate some color into those projects. I think they are underrated as far as C positive goes, and he has in his I mean, one of the pioneers. He kind of get you know who already has a nice, collection established, but he can plug a lot of nice things into his animals, early on, and I plan on, trying to, you know, piggybacking off that and moving it forward. So, I would say, uh, mentioned before, I think Sergio, I know he's low key, but every time, like I said, when he puts something out there, you gotta go click on it because you know something fire. So,
Oh yeah.
Tony Antucci, he's nice. His VPI game is crazy. Chaz Shillings, I talked to Chaz, talked to Tony, talked to Thomas Cobb. Um, who else? Michael Rocco got some fire. Yeah, Mike is cool. I actually met Mike in Germany. We ran into each other at the Ham show, and it was a good time, man. And it was cool with another American over there, and
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
to chop it up for a minute. Solid, man. That's a real solid guy, man.
Yeah,
I
no,
like Mike.
Roscoe's a solid cat, man. I like that
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. If you don't like Mike, I'm wrong with you. So he dude, but yeah, man. Them type of them guys. I really pay attention to their projects and what they have. I mean, if you're trying to build and you know you one of the in a sense top guy, it don't take $1 million, and that's the thing. Like you gotta go and spend $1 million on something. Like you could start your, you don't have to go get the highest quality animal. You can build your own projects and a lot. I mean, it might get you further ahead. You might get there faster, being able to have the money to do it. But it don't necessarily it doesn't take money all the time. I think a lot of these new guys think you got to come in head first, or you got people telling them that um, can't make money in a sense breeding snakes and all that and discourage them. But I think that it's the opposite. I really feel like you being selective on what you grabbing. I think you can have a future in this, and um, you got a lot of like without help too. So
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And I think that's a really good point because obviously money helps, but I think more than anything else is having the right eye for the right project, right?
hmm
So I think the guys that are really successful, they really kind of share that quality because they're able to look at a project, see the potential in that particular project, and then essentially leverage that versus necessarily just going out and throwing a bunch of money at what everybody else currently has, right?
right,
Right,
right.
right. So let me ask you, what's your current project focus right now?
I'm. I mean, obviously the sharps. I'm dealing with purple and then the prodigy gene, red pastels. Um, a lot of them animals want to start to be back together, start to put the paradise stuff. I think is like very underrated. I think a lot of it just red, just to say you got I'm beating paradigms together, and they just be two regular normal paradigms, but not focusing on making that generation of next offspring better than the parent. So I'm to color into those projects and crossing color too as well. See the outcome.
Yeah, no, I think that you're totally right. One of the things that I think we're starting to see overall in the industry, and Sergio, feel free to jump in, is the fact that now we're looking at older genes like sharps and calls, and people are like, all right, yeah, we know we can make albinos, but how do we make a great albino? How do we make an
Right.
outstanding example of that? What can I add to enhance this and take it to a whole new level? And I think that's probably where you've kind of shined in the last couple of years. You had the foresight to kind of look at a lot of the projects that were happening in Europe and then see
hmm
the potential in the States. And the reality is, at the beginning, I remember when you started bringing in animals from overseas, a couple people would hate on you because they were like, oh, that's not going to be genetic. Oh, no, that ain't going to happen. But then as time has gone by, those same people are now the same people, wanting to get those animals from you.
Right.
Which is the funny part, right?
Right. Yeah. Man, it's crazy because it's a lot of, when I first, jumped in a sense, I came out of nowhere in a sense. I wasn't on. They seen me come with some stuff from Europe that they thought only, big name breeders can get. And in a sense, that was right. But with me actually being in Europe and living there and actually seeing these guys face to face, I got to be issues with them and got a chance to grab those certain animals. So when I brought them back to the US, I was gay because some of the guys didn't believe they thought I was trying to scam, and I had conversations with them over the phone. I had to let them know, exactly, what was going on, and, how I came about most type of animals, and then the guys that was hating, and can purchase animals from me and apologizing. I had like probably 4
Oh, that's got to feel good, man.
yeah. And they told me in the beginning, they was, I didn't know, I was unsure about you, and some people try to hate and call you a flipper and let you was that, and not a breed. And actually, I do breed. I just don't show every single breeding I have. And I had some breedings this year. Bred a VPI to ROT IMG, possible VPI snow this year.
Goddamn. That is a fire breeding, man.
Yeah, thanks. And I didn't post, so just let's try to label you, and I ain't doing nothing no different than some of these other guys been doing for years. Part of, like I said, part of me actually getting into boas in Europe was me, going by Celtics, and Celtics was already in the U.S. and Celtics was already in the U.S. and being sold from Manny at the time. And I bought a couple Celtics, and the breeder told me, hey, you can buy a couple more and take them back home and, possibly sell them. And I said, okay, well, sound good to me. So I ended up purchasing them and, on the same stuff that, like, this guy's doing. Bob Clark is at Ham Show doing the same type of thing. Like, so, I just try to label you as something hobby, but in the sense, everybody, nobody can say ever bought an animal and then never resold it. They might have not kept it for maybe 6 months. So what does that make you? That doesn't mean anything.
Well, I'll be straight up, dude. I see nothing wrong with it. What some people give hate as far as flipper, in my opinion, why not buying entire litter, especially a litter of rare animals, right? And then sell it in order to pay for the animal from that litter that you want to keep. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Essentially, you're getting a free animal.
Exactly. Right. So, I don't feed into that type of stuff. It doesn't bother me. It never bothered me at all from the beginning. But they gotta understand, my skin is so thick. I've been in gyms with thousands of people yelling, saying whatever. So you think I'm about to think you about to shake? That doesn't bother me at all. So just stick to what I think is try to everybody the same and be solid across the board and be earth. And these guys I think end up not being down to earth with, and just being being normal. When I say down to earth, I mean just like treating everybody with respect. No different if you got $5 in your pocket and want to come buy a boa, or you got 10,000 in your pocket. So I think in that regard, a lot of people are this hobby because of money, and I don't want to ever get caught up in that.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man, and I think that's a really good point. One of the kind of common theme among the people that I try to get on the podcast is the fact that you guys definitely are the type of people that will treat everybody the same, whether they're going to buy a $300 boa from you or a $3,000 boa from you. You know what I'm saying? The problem is, the reality is there's a lot of breeders out there, man, that they'll be real nice to you if they think you're coming in with some money.
They think you're going to buy something, right?
And then as soon as you spend that money with them, then they ghost you, right? You don't hear from them. They don't check in. And the reality is, when you're spending a good amount of money, not only and Tom's hit hit this a couple of times. Not only are you paying for the animal, you're paying for the support and the relationship that you end up building with that breeder, because it's beneficial to everybody if you can establish some level of a friendship with dudes and then have multiple purchases over years with them, right? Versus just selling them one snake and that's it,
Right. And that's the thing. I think a lot of guys, like, I have people hit me and be like, yeah, I talked to so-and-so and he didn't respond to me because they look like they ain't got no money to spend or they don't have already high boas. And, I chopping and they like, man, know what, you're a cool dude. I wouldn't expect you to be like this. I'm like, why? Because I got some expensive snakes. I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't care about that. I don't care. This I'm able to buy some boas. Like that doesn't. I don't want my boat. I'm good in other areas in life where I'm not on a high popularity test when it comes to this. So then I end up I to a guy almost 2 years. And he ended up eventually, he couldn't afford snakes at the time. He ended up getting a job, and then he ended up talking. I said, yeah, you get a chance, when you start to make money, come talk to me. We'll work something out. And he ended up buying purple. He always liked them. And, later on, he 2 years later, he finally got a job and came and spent a good amount of money with me. I'm like, he said thanks, over the years, and man, it wasn't even out. The money. You called to conversate with me about snakes. We both share snakes. Why shouldn't I talk to you about this? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, I think a lot of breeders, man, once they get up, start sitting on the high seat, they look down on little people, and that's not me. That's not who I am. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, kind of along the same line, let us know some lessons that you've learned in this hobby that you wish you would have known when you first got started.
I would say I did a lot of impulse buying when I first got in Europe and talking to different breeders. I was getting presented different projects and I really wasn't doing my homework on them. I really wasn't doing my homework on the breeder. A lot of these guys that it's a little bit different in the U.S. They tend to faster there, I would say. And then they got talk to different breeders there too. They have their stereotype against American breeders too. So, speaking from my experience, I deal with both worlds on a regular basis too. So, in that regard, I was doing a little better research. I bought into some projects that either pan out the way I thought, or they end up being dumped too fast. And in my opinion, it wasn't the work with long enough to see the benefits of breeding, the outcome. I think a lot of these guys over there, they don't even try to put things out. They try to make things up. And I had some guys, try to make me see something I see in turquoise. Ain't no turquoise boa, so those type of things that at first was like, is really? I'm like, let me get a couple of those, and then they end up being a dud. Just being a bit more cautious in regard when it comes to that.
Yeah,
I regrets.
One of the things that I always found a little bit trippy about Europe is the fact that I think people are more likely to get scammed a lot of times in Europe, and I don't know if this is wrong, so correct me. But just because a lot of times, as you're saying, they'll see things in certain snakes that might not be there, and they'll try to mark them up according to that.
Right.
Like when I had Dave Palumbo on the show a little while ago, he's a guy that had that happen to him with a red ball python, right? So this red ball python issue basically was an albino combined with a black ball python, and then supposedly the product of that, it was like a complete red ball python, something that looked almost like a blood boa, right? But so apparently in Europe they had hit up a bunch of various breeders that had shown some live videos of this animal moving and everything, right? And it turns out that it was fake. What they had done is they had used some food coloring
Wow.
to dye the
Oh
damn
yeah, I
ball
think I seen a
python.
turd.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
But in the meantime, a bunch of dudes in the States got burned on that project, right? Like they
Wow.
spent a lot of money for heads, for supposed heads, and nothing ended up coming out of it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think in the States, if there's one benefit in the States is if somebody tries to scam out in the States, they get called out pretty fast.
Right.
And it's easy. It's kind of easy to find out. Whereas in Europe, maybe it's because there's so many countries in such a small area.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it a little tougher to figure out what's really going on and what's the rep on a particular dude.
Right. And guys in Europe, man, they keep quiet, you know, about certain things. They're whisper among each other, but they don't blast each other like we do in the U.S. We'll blast each other like right away. Like, no, this and it. Where'd you get it? Show me pictures, or it ain't true. Like, you know. So in Europe, they don't tend to do that. What they tend to do though is mix stuff up. I done had beers say, "Oh, this is a quadruple pastel, super pastel, inchy blood something," and I'm like, how does a gene work? You know, they can't really they can't explain it. You know, so you know, you have to definitely be careful because I'll be over there and I would take a train ride a total of 12 hours to a country to go see a collection, and I've done that multiple times. You know, so if I'm buying and I'm spending that amount of money, I don't care where you at. I'm there. I need to see it with my own two eyes.
Yep.
So you know, if you're gonna spend that amount of money, you might fly, spend $1,000 or whatever, or $1,500, and might as well fly over there and see if it helps. So.
Yeah. No, for sure, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the future of the hobby. Where do you see this hobby moving towards?
I think us moving toward a lot of as of right now PIs. Not joking. A lot of people are I feel like are on different directions. I think that you got people working with leopards, you got people sharps, VPIs, working with just pastels. Sunsets are trying to come back. A lot of people moving in different directions, trying to refine certain projects, like you know, me myself, people trying to add more color to VPIs, people trying to bring back color. Pink Panther VPI, I don't really see good examples of that really anymore.
Right.
I think going in a good direction. At one time, I slowed down for me because I don't think we had enough morphs. I don't think we had enough, you know, different bloodlines to work, variations of bloodlines to work with, and now I think it's enough out there for everybody to do some things and be focused primarily on the main stuff. So.
No, that's a good point, man, because like right now, you're right. There are so many different bloodlines out there and so many different variations that people can find one particular variation they really like, and that they can make that like their specialty, right? That can make that their niche, and they can like take those projects and explore those projects a little bit further. What do you think, Sergio?
Right.
Yeah, I also had a question, like having the ability to travel and check out collections overseas, what are some of the genes that you've seen that like we're not exposed over here? Like for instance, I think earlier this year I saw Enrico had a litter of indie, and it was with like the indie motley.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's stuff that
indie,
to be honest, I didn't even know
almost looks
it
like lab, right?
Yeah, I didn't know it existed, and it's a breeder female, so it's been out for a while. And he's got quite a couple stuff like the indie, and then I know you've dealt with amber and chocolate, and there's a whole bunch of other genes that they've been around for a while. I've never known about them. What are some that you've seen that it's some that you'd like to see come to the U.S., I guess?
Well, the indies, I know the me and Enrico is cool. He's one of my guys I've been dealing with for years. I know about indies before he even made it public. He told me about them, and I actually have some. Probably I got a certain amount of animals.
I'm gonna be hitting you up about those as soon as you produce.
Yeah, they when I first seen them, I was like, "What the heck is that?" I thought it was a lab at first, and
Yeah.
he was like, "No, I'm still doing breeding trials and everything like that," and I end up seeing them at the show in person, and I'm like, "Yo, sign me up! I need a pair of those," and that's one of the that I kind of gravitate to. It throws a lot of like, especially when you breed it to like, I'm saying spider tails. It throws a lot of full stripe. It works kind of like the jungle gene. A lot of embarrassings going on, but it works different when you breeding it to those type of animals, and
Like the thick, like
that's
the heavy pattern morph stuff, right?
right. So I had them in my collection for a while now. I have ambers, my collection. I really like those. And a lot of me and breeders in Europe, kind of grips with. You don't gotta make red boa with blood. I've seen some red pastels that will smack blood, like
Yeah.
so red, like it's like burgundy, so deep red, and a lot of the guys in Europe tend to work with those type of animals. The amber, one of them. I have a few of those. I should be having something dropping about a month from now
Nice.
with that. And what else? Indies, amber. I would say. Oh, obviously the pearls. People know about that.
Do you still see a lot of the Russian teapots? I think that was being worked with a lot in Europe, right?
The Russian teapots. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that project. It was. They didn't really excite me too much. Tyson teapots is nice, but I haven't seen those either over there. Besides the obvious ones that we know about now, the Raptors originated from there.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think right now Raptors are like just starting to get the attention they kind of deserve. You know what I mean? So like I'm like right now I have a couple of VPI things plugging into Raptor, just because I do think like that strong pattern morph is going to be pretty nice, and it's still not a lot of people are even mixing, for example, like the Raptor with the Key West, right?
Right.
Things like that still fully haven't been explored. So there's a lot of potential with those. Same with the Celtic. The Celtic is another morph that now is once again starting to blow up. It blew up for a couple of years, then we didn't hear much about it, and now once again it's kind of coming back into popularity because people, especially since like the last couple of years, seems like they've been dominated by the Aztec, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So now it seems like the Celtic is kind of coming back into popularity as one of those like strong morphs. And it just happens that a lot of the Celtic stuff that's coming in has been associated with the sharp gene. So,
right, and a lot of Celtic stuff. Me and Chaz Shillings talk about. He's high on Celtics too. I have my Celtic VPI is my Celtic Key West, and that's probably like my favorite VP collection as far as like quality. The Raptor, I first want to produce Raptor VPIs, and my females are coming up to size now. I plan on doing that. I plan on plugging, like you said, plugging into some different VPI stuff. I mean, the Raptor,
even a Super Raptor VPI is still smoking snakes.
It's crazy.
I mean? It's crazy looking, dude.
Let's be real. I ain't both Super Raptor, probably visual, sharp, what it is. Super Raptor visual, like, it's like a mask on steroids. So
yeah, for
if
sure.
you can add into all the color that they have. It'll be a real nice animal.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yep, I agree with that.
All right, boys. So we're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about what it's like to import boas. All right, guys, we're back. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to Richard about was what it's like to import boas. So, like, while the U.S. has had many advantages as far as the number of keepers, It always seems that Europe has not only caught up as far as quality of morphs, but they also have developed a lot of new projects, and even taken some projects that American keepers had first and developed them even further, like the sharp albino, right? So this has led many people to start importing snakes from overseas. So, Richard, I know, especially since you had your playing days occur in Europe and you had the opportunity to be physically there longer than many other keepers, you were able to establish good relationships with people in Europe, and that eventually led to you importing. So, talk to me about what it was like importing in the beginning, and maybe some of the challenges that you faced when you started importing, and then maybe how that process has changed over the years.
I started importing out of Czech. I had obviously difficulties with the language. If it wasn't for my wife, I couldn't have done it. She obviously speaks. She's Czech, so she's doing everything, and we paperwork, and I had to figure out what to do in the U.S. to get it here and get it cleared, and the broker I had to deal with, and fish and wildlife inspector. I ended up talking to some breeders that were there. They kind of walked me through it, as far as the amount of space that you have, the guidelines that you have to follow when it comes down to shipping. The airlines that you should use, figuring out if your airport is a designated port or not. That all played a part in importing. It wasn't the easiest thing to do at first. A lot of groundwork I had to cover. Even when I got my snakes, you got to take them to the vet and got to get vet checks even before you ship. You build boxes and things of that nature. So
that's right. You guys have to actually build like containers to ship it. Right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that whole ordeal is, especially like I'm in another country. Like I said, it wasn't for my wife. I don't know if I would be able to, do it on my own because of the language barrier. People speak English there, but they're not so helpful. So right. I have some guys there that already purchased animals from and already have done shipments, and they, like I said, they kind of walked me through it. So it made the process a little bit easier for me at times, but the CITES permits on both sides that you have to fill out, the paperwork that you have to fill out and wait for, and then you deal with fish and wildlife inspectors in Europe, and they're not always friendly. Then you dealing with then you dealing with elements back in the U.S. At one time, I had a shipment and it got, and I called my fish and wildlife inspector and said, hey, you can leave my animals in the warehouse. Like, you gotta put them into, the building, at least it's warm. So, dealing with customs at times, you gotta make sure that, everything is in line, because they can hold the shipment up. I didn't,
God damn, man, that sounds so stressful, dude.
Yeah, I didn't see them hold people ship. I didn't see, take people's shipments and, those type of things, when it comes down, you get all your cross and eyes, but you don't sit there and understand exactly what's going on until you do it. And I done heard stories before it happened, and later on, you find yourself in those situations, and then you remember, just heard and try to go about doing it the right way. And
yeah, no.
But it's times like I said, it's times where you got to make sure you're doing everything right when it comes down to importing, because you don't want to get animals up at an airport or anything like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's one of the reasons why, like, now stateside, a lot of guys will go to you to, get some help importing animals. Because I think that's kind of the benefit with dealing with guys like you, or like Mike Roscoe, or any other guys that, have experience bringing in animals from overseas. Since you guys have already been through all that, hassle, and you've already experienced that process, it's good for the rest of us to try to leverage that, even if it's at a fee, because really what we're paying for is we're paying for your experience, and that alone, just the peace of mind kind of associated with having somebody that's done it before help you out, I think is absolutely worth it. If you're going to try to save pennies, at the cost of potentially thousands of dollars, it don't make no sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of people, they got misconceptions on, it's just you can disease, all you gotta do is do this. That is not. It's not like that. Especially in Germany. Germany is real hard to ship out of. In general, like you can't even lead. I didn't know guys that we'd go to the show and end up leaving back from the show. Your paperwork ain't right. They'll take all your animals. Why you driving in the car?
God
yeah,
damn.
like it. Yeah, it's some different stories that I done heard, and dealing with those type of things, and important is like it can be, but it's not as it can be challenging at times too. So
Yeah, no, for sure, man. So let me ask you, what are some morphs or projects that European collectors are currently working with that have really attracted your attention lately?
the indies is one of them for sure. I tend to work, dive into those. I like that a lot. Projects that I'm seeing is I see some CA stuff which I'm not into, but a lot of that stuff I'm starting to take off, get a little bit more popularity over there. I'm not in CAs, but the CAs Blood have Freak Newt, a good guy I talked to, Walter Berg, some nice animals out of CA stuff.
Right.
They VP lines is once again I feel starting to pass. They starting to put the quality into it. This what's his Harry.
Yeah.
He had some litter of guys. The Godolfo line.
Right.
That's real nice.
The Gandalf line. Gandalfo line. Yeah, those are cool, man. It always seems like that a lot of the folks in Europe tend to really work projects a little bit more thoroughly than we do here, Yes. Maybe it's because over there it's a little bit more difficult to even get the animals, right? Mm-hmm. That when people actually get them, they're a little bit more thoughtful about what they're picking up, right?
Yep.
Whereas in the States, people will, for example, buy a VPI and they will just buy another VPI to breed it to without necessarily, trying to have like the forethought that, of what they're trying to produce in the long term. They just want to make more VPIs, right?
Just one. That's it. That's the difference. In Europe, they are very selective. When buying animals from us, they're getting the best animals, even if they got to pay another X amount of dollars to get that animal. They want to make sure they got the best for that more. And with us, we don't really care about how it looks. It's like just give me genetics.
And, give me the gene. Yep.
Right. Yeah. So I think a lot of times when I look at the collection is there and I say, okay, where did the base start at? And I look at this a plain VPI and that thing look crazy.
Right.
A plain blood and it's like red. It ain't brown. It's red. Yeah. So they started off, their line with the best apples of the Morph, and here in the U.S., I don't think we do a good job at that. I think that's why they, in a sense, surpass us with the sharp gene and with the even and the VPI gene. I think it's gonna be cutting it. I think it's gonna be next because I done seen.
They're already starting to blow it up. They were some of the first people to start plugging leopard into VPI, right? And you've seen, for example, like that habanero, that VPI leopard.
Yeah, right? That looked crazy. Yeah.
That looks crazy, man. Like, they had the foresight to want to actually go after something like that. And then, obviously, you dealing with the European folks, you've been able to be one of the first people moving into a lot of these projects. And like the main one that stands out, especially when I ask anybody who's been in the hobby for a while that knows you, they're like, all right, who's the first person that you think about when you think purple sharps? And your name usually pops up, right? It's either you or Tyler Johnson that are kind of driving the market stateside when it comes to purples. And as you're saying, that was because they basically took the sharp albino and they just really worked it until traits like the purple ended up popping up. And now we got traits that are even taking that to another level, like the blues, right? And and a bunch of other
and I said it before, I'm gonna say it again. The purples, I was one of the first guys. I was the first guy to import them in the U.S.
Absolutely.
The high contrast sharps, I was the first guy to import them to the U.S. Raptors, I put them kind of to us in the U.S. And I went to the guy house in Slovakia, and just haven't off yet. He still has probably a handful of animals. He shows the original male, and a lot of people, it's got to be some type of. They were asking, it to be mirroring, and it has to be some Guyana surname. He showed me the original male that starts purple line, and it was a hypo, and it had hue to him, and you tell that it transferred to the babies. A lot of people think
absolutely, man. When I have a bunch of purple stuff in my collection, some that I got from you, some that I got from Tyler Johnson, and you're absolutely right. You could take like a hypo that's het purple, and you can pick it out, man, because they have they have a completely different hue associated with them, right?
Yep.
And that's not something they're getting from Guyanas, man. I'm sorry. I've had a ton of Guyanas. I think I got my first Guyana back in the 90s, dude. So I mean, I got experience with them. And Guyanas do have a little bit of that going on. They do. But really, it's not to the same level as the purples. And then if it was Guyanas, you would also expect the coloration of the tail to be extended a little bit further up. You would expect the head to be wider, but it ain't.
It's not. And everybody trying to crack the code, and I'm like, crack. It was a hypo, and not only is it a hypo, you can sit here and look at the offspring and tell, okay, you can line breed this trait, and that's what they did. And not every color transfer into albino as well, or transfer into VPI as well. Like you get I've just seen red pastels get bred into sharp, and then the red pastel hat sharp get bred into sharp albino, and color don't transfer. So you got to be careful when it comes to that. But when I first seen the purples, I told her, lock me in, because I want some. Once you start, really get them going, and then I end up getting the animals. So that was one breeder. So I lived in Czech. I started meeting some other guys at shows that had also purple. It was already around in this area in Europe, and started buy animals and start to raise them and start to see everything is not staying as purple. And some animals tend to fade out long. Most do stay purple until adults. So I got to realize, I got to see breeders are really, they all purple when they start off, but what line is better to me.
And I think we see the same thing here within various pastel lines, right? So like, we could take let me pull some out. So for example, we can take an RC pastel. Okay, and those tend to stay red their whole entire lives, right? Mm-hmm. And then we might be able to take another regular pastel line, right? Let's say like a Chunku, right? And those ones might be super red as babies and then might start fading out a little bit as adults, right?
Right.
So, I mean, like, there's variation and everything else. And even from the same line, for example, like, let's say I go right now and I breed. I'm actually actively breeding like some purples to some paraglows, right? That are het sharps, and I know for a fact that when I have some babies out of that line, a handful of those babies are going to be as good as the purple dad that's breeding, right? But a couple of them will be purples, but really they ain't going to be the best in the top of the line. One of the things that I think is difficult for people, especially people who are now coming over into the boa industry from places like the ball python industry, right? That's difficult for them to understand is that the name of the genetics is great, but really line breeding is king, right? Which means that you got to take the best animals from every litter and put them together with the best animals of another litter, right?
Right.
To really try to push those colors forward, so that the adults get purpler and purpler and purpler as they get older. You know what I'm saying? And or pasteller and pasteller as they get older. But if you're like, let's say, buying a purple and you are breeding it to just a regular, sharp, and then you're hoping all the babies are going to come out super duper purple. Sorry to break it to y'all, it ain't going to happen. You know what I mean? Some of them might come out a little bit more purple, but not all of them are going to get the exact same level. You know what I mean?
Nope.
So,
and that's a good example. I know a lot of guys that think you can take one animal, especially when a polygenic trait, and breed it to something that doesn't carry a trait, and think that you have a whole litter of that, and it's not. And then that litter everything the same as purples or whatever, RCs or whatever, and it's not. Like some animals didn't catch the trait. So
even when they catch a trait, they might not get as good of a level. I mean, we see the same thing with IMG boas, right?
Right.
Sometimes you produce a litter of IMGs, and some of the babies as adults will be jet black, and some of them will be blackish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that, I don't mean obviously with the pastel lines, there's a lot of good pastels. RC pastels is crazy. Like Rich, on the phone from time to time. He's one of the guys I would say, like, he's selective when it come down to what he's producing. And,
absolutely, man. I got one of his pastels that looks like a damn blood boa.
Yeah, his
and all
line
it is an RC pastel.
His line is crazy. Yeah. So going back to purples. This is my opinion. I done seen it firsthand. There's no blues. I never seen I done seen genetics. The genes from these animals, claim to be blue, and it's not a blue animal. I've seen the actual parents from that snake and the offspring, the two blues that's together, and now these animals are adults, and I've seen it with my own eyes, and it's a purple snake still. So, I have actually animals from this breeding, and my snake is blue. So I don't. That color kind of throws me off. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to think. I get contacted from time to time, a lot actually, and people actually ask me, "Are the animals blue?" And I don't want them to, go out and spend X amount of dollars on something disappointed. I think they are nice animals. Don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for the blue color, you're not gonna find it in that animal.
And one of the things that like Tyler Johnson brought up, kind of under the same idea, is the fact that those animals might only be blue for a short while. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There might be like a 6-month span of their life where they're going to be blue, but as an adult, they will be purples. The big thing with a lot of these is, once again, is you got to start thinking about what the animal's going to look like as an adult. Will we ever get to the point where we're going to have like a straight up legit blue boa? Maybe. I can't say no, because line breeding is possible if you were to take all the best purples over many generations. You might get closer to it, right?
Right.
But expecting to have blue babies stay blue their entire life is not real. It ain't real.
Yeah.
No, it's not. That's not going to happen. Like I said before, they hold back everything. Obviously, you're going to hold back the best for yourself. So they've been breeding these animals for years now. I done played in almost 7-8 years now ago. So these animals are out, or they should be more blue. If you quote unquote say it's a blue trait, and how did all of a sudden it pop out blue? And I seen originally where it started from. I seen first where these started from and what animals they came from originally before you had even put them on the market. So I'm not trying to diminish anybody projects, but what I'm saying firsthand, because I see these animals and I'm still seeing animals that got purchased from that whole litter that was considered blue, and they're adults now. They're not there, so that color is not. So not like I said, diminishing it. The snake's nice. Period. I don't care what. I'm not knocking nobody. They nice looking animals, but I was my theory on it ain't even a theory. Is what my own eyes, not theory. I seen it. So they not. That's besides the that's the point.
And I think it like anything else, it's a little bit of like a marketing ploy, right? So like,
hey, hold on, let me say this: guys in Europe will tag something on there just for sales, and it happened to me, and they would sell something, the tag name to it, and just to make a sale, and they more in a sense out there tag a name, people read stuff names just get more attention, I would say, to themselves. So it's not all what it's cut up to be. You got to look at the animal and do the eye test, and that's what I tell people: is the eye test. You see blue, you see purple. Okay, if you see it, then it is. If you don't see it, then that's not what it is. Then
and that's exactly what it is, man. Like the way that I've always, for example, seen the blue line, right? In my eyes, the blue line has always been just a really nice purple line.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think naming it and that's one of the things that you kind of alluded to in the beginning when you were talking about your experience when you first started out in Europe, right? And that's the fact that people would market, like, for example, the blue line as it was something brand new, completely independent,
right?
Like a standalone. Instead of being straight up with it, being like, hey, this is my purple line. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is. I just happen to have a really nice purple line. Right.
And then, like I said, don't get me wrong. Them animals are gorgeous, but
I'm with you.
You're misrepresenting what it is to me, because you tell me something like, and you want me to see that, and I don't see it, and you turning me off. So, I just want people to be aware that, like I said, I do a lot of dealings with guys over there, and I didn't already been with it. I wised up a lot when it came to projects, and having false buys when it certain genes and stuff like that. So very careful in that regard. And I still go there. I go to like I said, my wife is Czech, so I go to probably like 2 or 3 times a year.
Oh, wow.
Besides when I'm coaching, so besides when I'm coaching, like I was just there. Ended up having to come back because of coronavirus, and I've been stuck in Europe. I've been stuck in Iceland, and a volcano went off in Iceland.
I remember that a couple of years ago. Yeah.
I was stuck there. I actually seen the lava coming from the volcano from my house.
Get out of here!
It was that close. Yep. So I end up, and then people end up, you come to volcano? I'm like, no. You know what I'm saying? Because it was really, I seen red lava shooting up from where I lived at. So,
damn.
I was stuck in Europe, and it's cool. Europe is cool, man. I like most of the people there and everything. Still stay in contact with, even the breeds. Like I said, Rinko, me and Rinko cool. Walter Burke's cool guy. Harry is cool. Rini, Freak. A lot of these breeders, Andre. A lot of these breeders are real cool guys, man. Peter Horferiska is a nice guy. I do a lot of dealings with them. Still stay in contact with him. Luber, he's from Slovakia. Like, I've been in these guys' house and we done kicked it, and like this. Some of them don't even talk English. Like, we be in there, Google Translate and trying to figure out what we trying to say to each other. Or I had to bring my wife with me to make a deal. You know what I'm saying? Because she speak the so.
Well, you know what? On one thing, kind of on one end of that's actually really dope, man. Because that kind of speaks to the power of the animals, right? That it could bring dudes from two completely different cultures to the point where they could be hanging out using Google Translate and still like enjoying each other's company. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So that's awesome, dude. So give us some tips for people considering importing.
Do your research on. I would say that a lot of guys. A lot of guys, I would say, are solid. They're. I feel like how we don't know the genetics of our animals. Like I didn't hit up by one of my guys, and you got the wrong genetics, or that person lied about genetics. As far as like in het for something. So just ask for picture, and try to talk to the guys over a certain amount of time, and just know who you're buying from.
Yeah, no, that's a great tip, man. And I think
mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and I think you're right, and that's a great tip. But I would add one thing to that, man, and that is, if you really want to bring something in from Europe, reach out to dudes like Richard or like to Mike Roscoe. Okay, Get the help of these guys. Pay them a fee for helping you out, because at the end of the day, just the peace of mind is worth the price. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep. Because because another, like I said, go back to it. It's not as easy as people think, and a lot of breeders don't like to import unless you're spending a certain amount of money. Right. And that's what they was at first. They're like, if you buy, spend 6,000 euro, 7,000 euro, and I import it. I'm like, I don't want to spend 7,000 euro right now. I'm just building my collection. I don't want to buy almost. So, you know what, guys? That's what I figured out on my own, and that's eventually what I did when I was over there. But like I said, along with the help of my wife. But you got guys that spend X amount of dollars and end up closing in a bad deal. Somebody short end of the stick, or somebody like they got the short end of the stick, and you end up bad each other, and it's not good for one of you or the hobby. So you got people and will stop importing from different countries and from Europe because they got a horror story or doing business with guys from the West or Europe, and I was dealing with that type of stuff first, and I had to build relationships with people at the time to actually do good business with them, and they started to make certain deals and things of that nature. So you can build relationships with good breeders. That'd be good, because be more willing to God eventually you guys can do dealings together.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. All right, guys. Hey, so now, go ahead, Sergio.
Hey, Rich, I got a question as far as importing. Like, for anybody that's looking to buy a boa overseas or anything, what would you say is the threshold where it's not worth it anymore? Like, let's say if a $500 or $1,000 boa with the import fees and costs, what would you say would be the minimum threshold for someone to decide whether to purchase one or not?
It kind of depends on if you're importing through a person. I personally haven't imported in a while. I typically don't import animals for people because I don't want to be responsible in a sense. You know what I'm saying? If it's my animals, then I'm okay. But I didn't had a few people contact me before and asked to put some animals on a shipment, and I'm like, hey, it's gonna cost you this, and I'm not responsible. I'm shipping my animals on with them in a box, but just shipping an animal that's not that expensive, I would say, doing it on your, to me, in a sense, is like this is not worth it. It's a headache. Like I don't enjoy shit importing. I'm sorry. It's like it's a headache to me. So it would have to be worth it. Like the animal would have to be probably more than that amount of money, I would say. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. Now, is there like a threshold that you've noticed as far as like European breeders where they're like, okay, if it's under 1,000 euros, they're not even going to bother to deal with
They only waste their time.
Yeah.
A lot of them won't waste time. I mean, um, different, ways to get animals to the U.S. now, but I know Shipyard Reptiles, I think, is doing something maybe with Canada and stuff like that because
Right.
it's
Yep.
just close to the border. A lot of guys waste their time if they actually have to do the importing themselves, or they don't know how to do the import. I mean, the exporting themselves. So, um, they just won't even bother. So I have to tell a lot of the guys I deal with over there already know that speaking to them that I tend to get I know how to do everything myself. But if you before that they were like wouldn't even answer my inbox, my message, and then they'd see me at the show and be like, "Oh, he's real."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so they gotta know that you serious. So
No, for sure, man. So now, guys, I want to shift over and start talking a little bit about the Paradise Project. So, Richard, I know Paradise is something that you've been working with for a while. And for those that aren't familiar with that project, the Paradise Boa has been around since Jeff Ronnie bred a prodigy boa to a shark boa. So this basically ended up producing a new visual combination that he named the Paradise Boa. And these boas tend to retain their color a little bit better than some of the other T-positive sharp complex boas, like the Paradigm or the Boa Woman Caramel. Yet, despite like their awesome appearance, it seems like the project hasn't really been worked as hard as other sharp complex projects. So, Richard, what kind of attracted you? Why did you choose to start working with Paradise?
I like Paradise because I knew that I was already done with the sharps, and it gave me a different angle to take. Instead of just at binos and sunglows all the time, I can look obviously at a T positive sharp included in. So obviously contacting Jeff, talking about WC Prodigy and that whole whatever mess in a sense. Chose to go with the Prodigy line just because I felt like it was not to say it's not good BWCs up there. I just think they're refined, and the same with the Prodigy. I think that it's a lot of work to do. I think then color and more Kodam Jr. Adding you know Mandarin belly, amber, purple.
And Mandarin Belly's like one of those genes, man, that people just still are sleeping on, dude.
They sleeping.
They're sleeping on that one. I think that's something that as we start seeing more of these animals in the States, I mean, Europe's all about it, but like right now in the U.S., it seems that people are still asleep on that project.
Yeah, I think it's going and then, like in most genes, it's like everybody sees that visual and it's like, oh wow, I gotta go grab one, and
Yeah.
some of the guys that are front runners and are surpass, plugging in new and better things. So, but as far as the Prodigy goes, like I had a litter of Harlequin, Paradise bows and
Wow.
high tech. Yeah, I
Damn,
bred.
that's smart, man. That Harlequin line of jungle is just, it brings that really killer rich color into stuff. And
Yeah,
whew, that's
Yeah,
smart.
those are nice.
yeah, I like the Harlequins. I got a Harlequin tech female, and she proved to be sharp, and I bred her to a Paradise Sunglow, and I mean, and that's another thing when I say hue, purple hue, she has it,
Yeah.
and the baby shows it. It came off on some of the a lot of the babies have it. So, um, that plugging a Paradise to those animals with color and then add the pattern morphs in there, and then I think that it'll rival some VPIs. I mean, some VPIs is extremely nice, but I think some Paradise will rival those.
Oh, 100%, man. I think that's a super underrated gene right now. So, what are some of the goals that you kind of have with this gene? You talked a little bit about adding a little bit more color, but what are maybe some of the pattern morphs that you like to kind of stick into this to that you think would come out real nice?
I think I'm gonna put next season, with this season coming, I'll have some these indie going to a Paradise. I want to put these Raptors, and I want to try a Mandarin Ember to a Paradise. So So, obviously, that's not pairing, but still, like the color is good enough, and I think that them two, that combination with the pattern is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely going to be pretty nuts, man. And like one of the things, like for example, that I think is going to look absolutely killer is when we start sticking, that purple gene into the Paradise. Because then at that point, if you can imagine, for those that aren't familiar with the Paradise, imagine adding a purple hue to a VPI. You know what I mean? Like people just aren't appreciating how nice those Paradise boas can be.
Yeah,
Because I think a lot of people picked up Paradises from Jeff Ronnie kind of originally, and I mean, this is not necessarily a bad thing, but maybe they were so satisfied with what the looks were, they were like, yeah, this is good enough for now. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's only been a handful of dudes that have looked at it and be like, ooh, I know how to make this better. And I think that, and I know that's one of the things, like for example, I was talking with Chaz about, and that's really developing like that artist's eye, right? For the future of a potential snake. Like when me and Chaz were like hanging out and doing our podcast, like, and we were talking a lot on the air about various combinations, but off the air, man, we were just going crazy about what potentially different morphs could look like mixed in together that haven't been touched. And the reality is, like, us boa dudes really, like, we get off on that, man. That's our jam right there, because like we really enjoy trying to think about what is the future of a certain gene and what genes haven't been played with as much. And I think and for the people listening out there, if y'all don't pick up some Paradises now while they're relatively cheap, I guarantee you're gonna kick yourself in the ass fucking 3 years from now when these combos start coming out, and then you end up having to chase everybody.
Right.
I mean, it really comes down to that, because I think this is, I knowing a lot of people within the hobby, this is one of the rarest genes. Yet it's a gene that was developed in the States. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The moment I knew it was a good one, and I had already made the decision of kind of getting away from sharps little by little, but when I saw I don't know if it was a Motley Paradise or Paradigm or a Prodigy, what it did with the Motley was great. When I saw that, I knew it was going to be good. It was just something I was going away with, but it kind of wanted me to get back into it, to be honest.
I'm telling you, dog, take the leap, man, because with you.
Right.
See, as we were talking about offline, man, Serge is a sneaky dude, man.
Sneaky. Serge already got about 12 of them already, purpled up and everything. We don't even know about it.
We don't even know. He's probably got some indie purple Paradises up at his house, and he just ain't telling nobody.
And what do people know about these? I already got a whole bunch of holdbacks off.
You already got it, huh?
You already got the holdbacks in. But no, man. The cool thing about Sergio is he's so quiet and so like nonchalant with his collection, right? But like everybody else that's successful in the business, man, he's got the eye for it, Yep. I'm telling you, Serge, if you might want to dive, just dip your toe back into the sharp water. Just dip the toe, just tiny bit, man.
I thought about it because I do have like a couple females that breeders that I just never bred them, so I could get a nice Paradigm Prodigy male, and there you go.
There you go, man. There you go. Or even better, man, pick up what if Richard produces some of those indies,
if you do,
and toss it in there, dude.
I think I would.
Oh yeah, that makes two of us, man. That'd be. Those are gonna be badass.
The purple and Prodigy, I think, is gonna be real nice. Purple VPI, it ain't far away, man. Keep your eye out.
Far away. If people haven't tried it, they're crazy. Because there's definitely potential there.
For sure.
You starting to see the purple hues in the VPIs too, huh? Yeah. Got one. Yeah. I got a male glow. He purple. I see you a picture. I got him from Europe. Like it's happening. They label ones. I breeder label the purple VPI. So it's starting to happen slowly, but
right around the corner.
Right now, man. As a matter of fact, of just around the corner, I don't want to, jinx myself, but right now I have a male purple 66% het VPI, breeding a red rum 66% het VPI. So let's see what happens from that. We don't know. We'll see. I have no idea what the hell that's going to end up looking like, but
I hope he prove.
Yeah, if either one of those guys prove, man, that's going to be pretty tight.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice breeding.
Yeah, so we'll see, man.
That's nice.
So, Richard, why do you think the Paradise Project is kind of slated to be one of the big projects of the future in this hobby?
I think people are gonna get burned out of VPS. And honest,
That's
I think a lot of people are jumping on it because it's like everybody want to jump on a new gene. It's cool. Like me personally, I always and I always been like this even when I was a kid. Start my own. I don't want what everybody else got, and not nice because obviously I got VPS myself, but I want to start my own thing and start with something personally like, and I believe in. I think, like I said before, I think Paradise is going to be nice. I think people will actually start to focus on them. I think they're going to be able to, hold on against any VPS.
Oh, 100%, man. All right, guys, so now we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to do the Dirty Dozen.
The Dirty Dozen.
All right, guys, we're back, and now it's time for the Dirty Dozen. Richard, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you 12 questions. You give me 12 answers. They can be as long or as short as you want them to be, okay?
Yep.
All right, man. Number one, what's the size of your current collection?
About 200. I don't know. 200.
200. Nice.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Damn, how do you do it? I'm just kidding.
You probably got about 4 over there, huh?
No.
No.
Same as you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got half of what y'all got. I got about 100, man, and I'm pretty busy.
You're probably
with that.
happy with that too, though.
Yeah, man, it's manageable for here. I don't need a facility. I can still do it at home.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. All right, man. Number two, husbandry related question: are you a frozen and thawed guy or a live guy? And what's your bedding of choice?
Frozen. And I use it.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. All right, number three, what's your favorite morph?
Can't say I got a favorite morph. Say purple shark.
Purple shark, man. That's a good one.
Most of yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, number four. What is the most overrated morph in your opinion?
I can't say just one of those. I got a couple of those. Man, fire, one of them. Fire is overrated. It look like a clean normal. That's just my opinion. I think Snow Boas is overrated, even though I got some. I need it for certain projects that I'm doing. They look good as bad, but they end up yellowing out to me. And then I know you said one, but IMGs. I think having all black snakes, five to 10 of them is just too much. When they turn all black anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those bows are overrated to me.
All right, number five. What is the most underrated morph?
I would say the Inca.
Ooh.
I think Inca underrated.
Oh hell yeah, it's underrated. That's
Yeah.
actually a good one, man, and that's one that people still aren't really working with, man. People are sleeping on them. A lot of the Central guys are starting to work more with the Incas, but the average Colombian keeper's sleeping on those still.
Yeah, I think Incas are very underrated, man. I've seen work that's being done with them across the water, and they pattern with a lot of hypo, influence in it, and a lot of morphs don't do that. They end up breaking the patterns up because the whole day pattern when you a lot of some morphs get broken up because when you put hypo into it, even as well. Key West is broken up, but Inca I think is a underrated morph.
Awesome.
I'd agree.
Number six. What's your favorite part of the hobby?
Breeding. breeding and and discovering new genetics. I got about uh, 3 right now that I from wild animals that I'm working with, and we'll be releasing them maybe this year or maybe next year.
That's awesome.
I'm
man.
discovering new metal. Yeah.
You know what? That's something that I think a lot of people in the boa industry still haven't gotten into as much as they should have, and that's really what in the ball python industry they call dinkers, right? People dinkering around with new potential genetics. I love doing that, man. I've been fortunate enough to prove out two genes within the ball python industry, right? That were fairly new, and I love looking at a trait on a wild caught animal, and then trying to see if it can be reproduced. The problem, though, and I think the reason that a lot of people don't do it in the boa industry is because it takes so long, man. It requires so much patience.
Right.
Because you can put so much money and time into a pair of snakes, and nothing.
And shit don't prove. And it don't prove.
Yep. But
man, that's
when
one.
It proves it's awesome.
Right. Yeah. I'll take that chance. I ain't in a rush. I got some old emails in there. I ain't even touched them yet. So I said I'm not in a rush. But yeah, new genetics. It's nice.
All right, man. Number 7. What is the worst part of the hobby for you?
Cleaning.
Oh, I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
I hear guys like Thomas saying that they get the Zen thing out of cleaning, man. I hate clean snake poop.
Cleaning is one of the worst things. I set a pretty day aside a week to get in there and take care of everything. So sometimes I bring my nephew over to help.
That's what's up, man. That's what's
up. Get it done faster. So yeah.
That's exactly what I do, man. I got kids, so now that's a chore up in my house.
Right, I ain't got no kids yet, so right now they my helpers. They help me though. They get done. They like, man, Uncle, I ain't got time to be getting bit. We get bit once, and now they scared. I had to get them snake hooks. So I'm like, you good? Go ahead. He ain't gonna use the hook. You good? And they start hissing. They're like, we got this in Detroit. I'm like, yeah. You can take a snake back home to get you, but then you can come back and help me. So cleaning is it. That's it.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Number 8. Do you have any other species? And if not, are there any other species that you would like to eventually get?
No. I only have boas at the moment, but I do plan on diving into some other blood pythons. Kind of been on my mind. I'm starting to really like those.
Yeah, dude, blood pythons that whole industry is actually pretty badass, man.
Yeah.
Like I like some of the genetics that are being done with it, like that magpie blood. That thing's hot, man.
Yeah.
That thing's a badass.
Yeah, the 007s. Yeah, they're nice, man. Blood pythons.
Oh yeah, I love seeing who is it? Cold-blooded creations and like the blood stuff that they have over there, man. Whew. Awesome.
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Those are nice. Like I thought about getting tree boas. And I thought about some Madagascar ground was Madagascar the actual ground boa, but some Madagascar. I don't even know how to pronounce the name. I forgot it. Maybe East or something like that.
Yeah.
So I've been looking into some different morphs just besides.
Number 9. What is a common misconception people have about you?
In the boa community or just in general?
Either or.
Well, in the boa community, like I said, people think that you're stuck up or you will be stuck up. What type of collection that you have?
Right.
The type of collection that you have. And, they think I'm 6'5", tall black dude. They think that I'm mean or something. But I'm normal. I'm easy to talk to, easy to get on with.
Yeah.
And that's one of the misconceptions that people have with me.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. Number 10. What makes you say, "What was I thinking?" when you look back at your time in the hobby?
Some of the projects I told I dived into too fast. What the heck? Which I give them back? No, yeah, like I said, impulse buys was just, not really taking my time and doing my research.
Yeah. I mean, like we said before, it is what it is with impulse buys.
Right.
It's a normal thing to do when you're young in the hobby and you're excited and you got a little bit of money in your pocket, and then you're like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get this because it looks dope as hell," and then you get another thing because it looks awesome, and then you start learning the genetics, and you're like, "Oh shit, what did I just do?"
Yep, this ain't it. So, that's one of them.
Awesome, man. All right, number 11. What's one tip you would give the people looking to invest in boas?
Try the best example that you can get. For example, when I went to pick out certain snakes, they'll show me, what's for sale, and I say, let me see your holdback.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
Be,
as a matter of fact, you hit me up with that one before. Yep, that's the truth, man. That's the magical question. Show me your holdback, right?
I want to see your holdback and see how that compared. And I didn't offer guys money for their holdback. It's not for sale. Hey, I don't care if I got to pay, extra $400 or $500 or whatever, maybe to get the animal off that person. And I just would try to get the best example you can possibly get. And if whatever caught your eye, that morph or that gene, and if you see it in that animal, you probably shouldn't get it.
Yeah.
Not say that it'd be the best example. Everything I had the best example of every single morph, but I got something that goes to it. So just trying to pick quality animals.
That's awesome, man. All right, final one, number 12. Any shout-outs you want to throw out there?
Shout out to guys, you and Sergio. Shout out to Thomas Cobb, Arius, and Mike Roscoe, Randy Silverman, Slav is a cool guy, Ben Jefferson, Jeff Roney. Sorry if I slacked his name, but them guys I tend to talk to. Rich, there in Cali, Rich is cool.
RC,
a lot of guys I stay in contact with him. I put up Thomas Cobb, put up from time to time. Shout out to all them guys.
Awesome, man. Well, guys, that wraps it up for today. Richard, tell the people out there where they can learn more about you and see some of your animals.
My page on Facebook, All-Star Constrictors. I also have the group Boa Fanatics. Me and Slav created the group, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And just a group that wasn't dealt with drama at the time. I was coming in trying to establish myself, constantly defending myself, and me and Slav obviously I hit him up like, yeah, man, I'm tired of dealing with all this, and he was like, hey, let's create a group. So and he ended up actually thinking of the name, man, starting it, and then it took off from there. And we try to keep things clean and let everybody have their opinion, because this day and age, about having an opinion, they don't know how to actually voice it, and or they people find it disrespectful on how they deliver it. And I still want the hobby to be cool and fun, but people should be able tell you how they feel without people getting all pissed off about certain things. And I think they take these animals a little bit too serious. And some people may be all they have, but with me it's not. And I think that in that case, with a lot of people, and I think you just should enjoy the snakes and the hobby of what it is, and not find so much try to get so caught up in the things that don't matter, you know. And I actually think the group is good. The Boa Fanatics, I post a lot in there. You can contact me on Facebook directly, Richard, and you know, just be up.
Awesome, man. Sergio, tell the people where they can find you.
Sergio Hernandez on Facebook and on Morph Market and Instagram, Sergio Hernandez Reptiles.
Yep, and then for me, Morphs Unleashed on Instagram. Guys, we appreciate you listening. We are out. Guys, that was a great episode. Thanks to Richard Field of All-Star Constrictors for joining us. Join us on our next episode as we speak with Brandon Nixon of Brandon Nixon Reptiles. We're going to talk about his work with the Fire Gene, his time in the Marine Corps, and he's going to give us some tips for taking better photographs of our boas. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Do us a favor. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube. Until next time, grow 'em slow.